Hello, welcome to Tutors of Life podcast, where we research life so you don't have to. Episode 190. This is your host, Sean Tutor.
191.
Episode 191. This is your host, Sean Tutor.
And this is Sam.
Nice.
And Mimi.
And Mimi.
She always here. Yes, hi. Today's a tutor episode where we try to teach you something new.
Love it.
And we're going to talk about the 4 agreements and maybe the 5th agreement.
The 4 Agreements. By Don Miguel Ruiz.
Yes. I highly suggest both of his books. I want to get his other books as well, actually. He has, I think, The Love Companion. Let's see here. The Mastery of Love. He also has, like, the 4 Agreements Toltec Wisdom Collection. The Circle of Fire, The Voice of Knowledge. I thought there was another one, but yeah. So I highly suggest these books. They're very, very kind of like philosophy based, I would say, mindset based. Sorry, there's like a hair or something on my shoulder that's driving me crazy. But it puts you in a really good mindset, and the whole point of it is to kind of help you find your like true purpose in life. And if you can follow the 4 agreements, like, you will find happiness and knowledge, and you just live a better life. Mm-hmm. Is the main. Are you like putting stuff into your calendar? Mm-hmm. I love that. But so they're really good things to learn about. The 5th agreement is kind of interesting. Sean and I have both interpreted it different ways now. And so the author suggests, when you read the very beginning of the 5th agreement, he suggests to reread the books multiple times, which I think is great. I think it's a great idea, because every time you'll pick up more and more and more. And I already want to reread both of them, but I'll do that probably after I catch up on some other books. Anyways. So I highly suggest them, and those are going to be books that Shaun and I read every single year. They're not too long. They probably take a couple hours each.
Yeah, I'll definitely read the 4 Agreement frequently. Mm-hmm. The 5th Agreement is good, and we'll get into it. But the 4 Agreements are really good stuff. That book, The 4 Agreements, is really good to bang out. And you learn a lot of good shit. But I will say, the 5th Agreement reiterates everything and really makes you rethink it all right away, and like put it into like thought of like, oh shit, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, let's just get into it.
Let's do it.
So the 4 agreements.
Yep.
What are they?
Number 1, be impeccable with your word.
Well, let's just go over all 4 of them, and then we'll go deep into each.
Number 1, be impeccable with your word. Number 2, don't take anything personally. Number 3, don't make assumptions. Number 4, always do your best.
What is the 5th one? Does it say?
The 5th one is be skeptical, but learn to listen.
I like the cover of it too. It says a practical guide to self-mastery. Mm-hmm. So the whole idea behind this is about these books is it was a civilization centuries ago.
The Toltecs. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so they were like...
It's a Toltec's wisdom.
Yeah. They were a civilization that they didn't want the white people to know their knowledge, because they knew their knowledge is like very strong. Because if someone can follow all of like their practices, like, you're going to just be very knowledgeable and a very, like, strong person. I believe it's the same story in both books.
It is, yeah.
So... You can tell me if I'm wrong.
No, the Toltecs... What the Toltecs is Toltecs believe that man is God. Mm-hmm. That every man is his own God. So man is God. And God is just a dream. Mm-hmm. So we live in a dream. Mm-hmm. And so... everything we do is a dream in a virtual reality, is what it comes down to.
And by following the Toltec way, you're, by living in this dream, you're kind of in a fog. And by following this way, you clear up the fog. And you become, like, pretty much invincible. And so when the white man was coming closer to them, so they decided to disband their civilization and just teach their wisdoms and practices down their generations. And so Don Miguel Ruiz even says, like, he's from the White Knight.
I don't know.
I don't know. But so he says, like, what like generational line he's from.
From the Eagle Knight lineage.
Eagle Knight lineage. That was close. But yeah, I think he has like a group that he teaches, or he teaches this in a class, and then his son also teaches as well.
Correct. Yep.
So it's really cool. I just love it. But we'll start with the first one. Be impeccable with your word.
Be impeccable with your word. You want me to read the definition he has?
No, it's okay.
Okay, cool. This is very simple.
Yes.
These 4 agreements are so freaking simple, but they are so difficult.
Yes.
Be impeccable with your word. Do not gossip. Do not say bad things about people. Do not say bad things about yourself. So negative self-talk, no. Being impeccable with your word means positive talk to yourself. It means talking about people in a positive light. Not like disrespecting people, anything like that. Being impeccable with your word, speaking with intent, with meaning, and doing it, what's the word? Respectfully.
Yeah. This is one thing that, like, because a lot of these things make you, like, think back on things you've done. And it's one thing, like, there's been so many times Shaun and I will have conversations, and I'll say something, and I'll be like, oh, that's not what I mean. But it's because I'm just saying instead of, like, taking the time to think of, like, the right words and making sure I'm phrasing things correctly. And we guys listen to Chips and Caviar. It's Rob Bailey.
Chips and Caviar.
It's Rob Bailey and Aaron Singerman's podcast, which they just started, and they did like a little short on kind of like gossiping or being a loser. Yeah. How to not be a loser.
It was how to be a loser.
Yeah. So
they did a podcast on how to be a loser, and gossiping was one of their main things on how to be a loser.
Yeah. There's just like, there's so many negative things going on in this world that there should be no room in your brain or in your life for any negativity. And so getting rid of gossiping is a huge thing that can help clear a lot of that negativity in your life.
Let me tell you what, dude. This goes right in hand with Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
Yes. We highly suggest that book too. Shaun's been listening to it.
Fucking gnarly.
It also goes to show that, like, we've been talking about, like, there's so many things lately that have been, like, kind of contradictory. Like, oh, you should only focus on one business. Oh, if you're good at focusing on multiple things, you should be focusing on multiple businesses. But these books and, like, a lot of things we've been hearing lately, like, they're all the same. Like, it's all the same idea. So it's been really cool to kind of just keep reading all these same concepts and being like, okay, like, this is actually what we're supposed to be doing.
So, like, what's nice about the 4 agreements, the 5th agreement, and listening to that book, which I'm going to buy that book so I can read that book, they all build off of each other. And it's like, it's all about essentially becoming a god.
Yeah.
Like, yourself becomes the god. And what that means is you're your own god in the Toltec wisdom, right? You're your own god. And so by using these 4 agreements, you can train yourself to be God, right? And then outwitting the devil, what it is, the theory behind it, it's all about, I will give the exact quote on how to outwit the devil.
Oh, yeah, you just texted it to us.
Yep.
It's so good.
So, be definite in everything you do and never leave unfinished thoughts in the mind. Form the habit of reaching definite decisions on all subjects. So, we're 50% devil, 50% God.
Mm-hmm.
In all of us is 50% positive and 50% negative. All that's everything.
Mm-hmm.
Atoms, energy, everything. You have negative and you got positive charge.
Yep.
The more you are definite in your decisions and you complete your thoughts and you have the habit of forming definite decisions, okay? The more you can rid your mind and your body of the devil to become God.
Mm-hmm.
So both of the books are essentially how to be God.
Mm-hmm.
And that is by conquering your mind through positive, definite decisions. And by doing that, because heaven and hell are not what happens to us in the end. Heaven and hell is right now. Whatever you want to believe in for like religion, heaven and hell is in our right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, look at yourself. Is there days that you are in hell instead of heaven? Because, like, if you're just going through your life fearing that you're going to go to hell, you are in hell.
Mm-hmm.
If you're afraid, you're in hell.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to live faith-based, not fear-based.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, every day is just hell.
Yeah.
So instead of you think what everyone thinks and what the church, like Christian Lutherans, what they teach in church is that there's heaven and hell at the end of life. No, dude, we're living in heaven and hell, and you just decide which one you're living in.
Mm-hmm.
Every person gets to decide.
Yeah, and it's really neat because, like, he talks about in there, too, about, like, okay, if you don't follow this, like, you're living in hell every day. Why would you want to do that?
That's why it's so beautiful. Both those books just ride off each other, and they were written at complete different times. That book, Napoleon Hill's book, was written in 1938. Was not published until 2011. This book was...
But it's interesting because those are based off of ancient, like, philosophies. So it makes sense.
Yeah, this one was 2010.
Okay.
The Fifth Agreement. Oh, Don Miguel, 1952, The Fifth Agreement. So this is...
Wait, 1915 too?
1952, this was based off of. So it says
that's so cool.
It says Ruiz Miguel, 1952, The Fifth Agreement, A Practical Guide to Self-Mastery.
I'm in your phone.
Okay. But it says that this one was published in 2010. So I don't know if maybe Don Miguel Ruiz was born in 1952. Either way, it's just sick because these things align so well. However, they were completely like, they were written without the other one being known.
Mm-hmm.
So, being impeccable with your word.
Yeah, he was born in 52.
He was born in 52. Okay. Yep. So, being impeccable with your word is exactly what we said. And the more you can practice that, the more you can be respectful, the more you can say the right thing, think before you speak,
mm-hmm.
the better you will be, the closer you will get to being God.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's number? You ready for number 2?
Mm-hmm.
Don't take anything personally.
This one is really hard for Shaun.
Fuck yeah.
I was just curious about when the Toltecs were around.
Yeah.
So this says the Toltec civilization dominated present-day central Mexico from their capital city of Tula. The civilization flourished from around 900 to 1150 AD, when Tula was destroyed.
Oh. Is it now Tulam?
Tula.
Cool.
Should I look up where Tula, Mexico is now?
Sure.
Yeah, not by Tula.
Lame.
Yeah, no. It is outside of Mexico City.
Okay. So, ready? Don't take things personally.
Yes.
What do you got for me?
I mean, just plain and simple, right? Like, don't let, I would say, like, don't let the person walking down the street who's wearing clothes that you don't like, think about it. Don't get mad about it.
why this fucks me up so much is the fucking gym.
I know.
That is a muscle I have to like flex when I'm at the gym, is like trying not to take things personally, because those people fuck up my brain so much.
I can take that off with a hairdryer. It'll be a lot easier. He's taking off a sticker on the back of the book.
I got this, babe.
Okay. But yeah, so it's definitely something. It makes you not put negativity in your brain, pretty much, because you shouldn't get annoyed. You shouldn't get annoyed by what other people are doing around you if it's not affecting you. So like, I don't have a hard time going to the gym because I just go do my workout, leave. Like, I get my shit done. I get a little annoyed if all the machines I planned on using that day are being used, but then I'm like, okay, well, I'll just pivot, whatever. Shaun just gets feisty.
Yep. So with not taking things personally, it's like, it's why you shouldn't do it is because it's people's thoughts on you. That people may say things to you, but the question is, are they true or not? And that's where the fifth agreement comes into play, right? Of the like, be skeptical but learn to listen. Is like, so how that ties into this is not taking things personally. A lot of things people say to you is based on their personal experiences and the things they have going on in their life. So if someone's having a bad day because of a precipitating factor being they're having a bad day because they woke up, their spouse was yelling at them because they didn't take the trash out on time. So now they're going to work angry. You meet with them for whatever reason and they are rude to you. Do not take what they're doing personally, because you have no idea what the precipitating factor is that caused them to be that way. You don't know what their past is like, the things they've been through, which may cause them to view you in a certain way that might not be the real reality. It's just their virtual reality they're living. So by you believing what they're saying, you're believing their truth, not your truth.
Yeah.
And so that is something like, pretty much no matter what anyone says, don't take it personally, because it's not true.
Yeah.
It goes into, you have to forgive yourself for the past, the current's the current. The only thing that matters is the present. And so anything you've done in your past, we are the only culture that relives the past.
Not the culture.
We're the only species. Yeah, we're the only species that have to be punished more than once for an action. So if you did something that you think is wrong in the past, that you took personally in the past, we are the only culture, or we are the only species that punishes ourselves more than once for that. We punish ourselves thousands of times for actions. So part of not taking things personally is you have to forgive the past, the current's the current. You are a new person every day you wake up. You can be a new person in a minute.
Yeah.
It's what you decide to be your reality and how you decide to talk to yourself. And so anything that's happened, you need to stop blaming yourself for it. Stop taking yourself personally. Stop, because it's over. It's done. Move on. Quit taking things personally. You're a new person as of listening to this right now.
Yeah.
And then follow the Toltec wisdom, the 4 agreements, to continue bettering yourself every day. Yeah. That's not taking things personally.
Yeah. You went on a tangent.
Dude, sometimes my brain works.
Dude, that was impressive. It just went.
Give me some of that shit, babe. I'm getting better at this.
Yeah, you are. I'm proud of you.
Damn.
But yeah, so just.
Could I be a debater? No. You know what? I'm not going to take that personally.
That's good.
Okay, go ahead.
Because it's my opinion. We've talked about it before about the movie thing, and I couldn't remember where I heard it before, and it was this book. It was the 4 agreements that I read it in. Or the fifth agreement?
The 5th agreement.
Okay. And yeah, it just goes to show, like, you're watching yourself in your own movie, and like, if you go to someone else's movie, like, they're gonna have a different perception of you, and you're gonna have you're going to realize that they have a different perception of themselves as well. So you have to like remember, like, I just said like a lot. Oh, sorry. You have to remember that people are going to perceive you differently than you perceive yourself, and you just have to like accept that and be like, whatever. I'm going to, if I I'm not going to take it personally if they perceive me differently.
So this is where you and I interpreted it differently.
Yeah, we did.
So go ahead with your original interpretation, and then I'll give mine.
I mean, I interpreted it as you shouldn't I think you should think about how your actions are perceived by other people. Just because it does make you a little more conscious, like being impeccable with your word. It makes you a little more conscious of everything you're doing and how you're acting, and you need to think about, like, how does Shaun perceive me in his movie, and how, like, compared to how I perceive myself in my movie. So, because those could be two different things, because I could think my actions were good, but you could perceive them as bad.
Right.
So I think, like, being impeccable with your word and, like, being impeccable with your actions and stuff like that can, like, make it where what I do is good, you perceive it as good as well.
So that is part of the fifth agreement, which is learn to listen.
Mm-hmm.
So how I perceived it originally was, I was like, okay, if I went and I looked at myself through the lens of my wife, my mother, my father, my brother, my closest friends, etc., my thought behind it was like, they are the main character in their stories. Mm-hmm. So they're going to perceive me however they like perceive me through like their past experiences with me. And so my thing was like, if they perceive you a certain way, don't take it personally, because they may only see you for your, like, they may only see you in certain aspects of what you do. They don't see like the deeper person you are. And so you can't be mad at you can't take things personally and be mad at your mom because you only see her, because you see her once a week and she has a different perception on what you're doing than you are. Mm-hmm. You know, if she was to be like upset with something you do or something like that, it'd be like, well, you only see 5% of what's actually going on here. Mm-hmm. That's how I perceived it, was like, people may have perceptions of you that you need to not take personally because they only see a blip of what the whole picture is. Yeah. Which, granted, for like your, I guess for like your closer family, you should probably maybe listen a little bit. Mm. But like, yeah, I like looked at the being skeptical side of it, where like I won't necessarily change my life and change who I am. I won't change my life and change who I am because of like the way a friend perceives me. Mm. But that's part of like, I'm on a new mission. I'm a new person. When I was a dirtbag a few years ago, you know, then I was listening. Then I was like in a listening phase to then like develop into the self I am now. Yeah. To where I'm in like a different phase. Mm-hmm. So I think it's kind of like based on, I listened, learned, changed. So now on a different like mode, I'm not going to take things personally and listen to a friend if they're like, oh, wow, that's stupid, you're not drinking, mm-hmm. you know, or whatever. Like, oh, you want to come party and shit like that. Like that stuff I'm not going to take personally. I'm like, yeah, dude, whatever. Like, I'm on a different mission than you.
Mm-hmm. And even too, like, we've had some things happen lately where, because when Shaun and I started dating, he was a very different person. Very, very different. And lately, like, some things have come up and Shaun had to be like, yeah, like, that's who I used to be, but that's not who I am, like, at all.
It hasn't been, for years. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's kind of that part of thing of, like, that person who you only knew in that, like, in that part of your life when you were in that mode, like, mm-hmm. only sees you as that person. Yeah, yeah. Because they've only seen that blip of you in your life. And right. You just have to be like, yeah, that's not who I am anymore.
Right, yep. Yeah, evolve. And that's neat to see for people, because that just shows that, some people are still in that. Mm-hmm. Some people are still in that, like, time of their lives.
Yeah.
And they're just waiting to, like, evolve out of that themselves.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's been very interesting to think about, like, the movie stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that a lot. So, anything else for taking things personally?
Just don't do it. I don't know.
All right, don't take things personally. Numero tres. Huh?
There you go.
That was fucking Mexican. Spanish. Don't make assumptions, babe. Don't make assumptions.
This one is also very hard for us.
This is the most difficult thing ever in life.
And that is,
I don't care who you are.
That is something that is going to be in every management, leadership, growth book you will ever read, is to not make assumptions. Mm-hmm. Because guess what happens? You start going into a negative spiral, and then you go into like a meeting or something with negativity. Mm-hmm. And generally, it's not even that bad. And you're just like, I just stressed about this for 2 whole days for nothing.
That is the hell loop. Mm-hmm. We put ourselves through hell for things that never even happened. Mm-hmm. So we make up a story in our mind through making assumptions of conversations we're going to have with people, how interactions are going to go. And you put yourself in your own hell loop of like negativity and horrible experiences. One of the examples they gave in the book was this. Your wife tells you she's going to be at home at 6, and it's 6:30 and she's not home. Mm-hmm. And 6:30, you're like, okay, whatever, she's just running a little late. 7:30, you haven't heard from her, she's not home. Your mind goes, she could be cheating. Or your mind goes, oh, she might just be out with some friends. Mm-hmm. Either way, shouldn't matter, you're making assumptions. But now, if it's powerful enough, the thought of, oh, she's out cheating, that's your hell loop that's just going to play and play and play until she arrives at home, at which point you're going to be in a terrible mood because you now played through your mind what would happen if your wife was out cheating. Mm-hmm. So by not making assumptions, we don't even have to go through that hell loop of what that could potentially be like. We could just wait for him to get home. Oh, hey, hon, what took you so long?
Yeah. 100%.
What held you up?
Even nowadays with technology, I mean, you could just be like, just text them like, oh, hey, babe, just wondered when you're getting home so I can have dinner ready for you or whatever. Right. Yep. Yeah, it's so interesting.
Dude, it's sick.
And that's it. Like, Shaun and I just went through it this week. We just kept making assumptions about different things in life right now. And we're just like, why do we keep doing this? Like, so it's... Out of the 4, I think that's going to be one of the harder ones to get out of.
Yes, I think it'll be the hardest one to get out of because we've trained ourselves to do it so much. Mm-hmm. However,
it's fear-based. Isn't that the big...
It's fear-based.
It's the fear-based one, yeah.
What I will say, and this is the only way to get through this stuff, like, this is the way to get through everything, all negative thoughts. You have to identify it. And you have to call it out in your mind. So as soon as I would start making assumptions, I'd just be like, stop. You don't make assumptions. You have no idea. Stop. So yeah, throughout the week, anytime it'd pop up, I'd be like, stop. You don't know what's going on. Stop. Stop. Constantly. And so it's all about the more you can identify it and call it out and stop it, and then redirect yourself if needed, the better you're going to get. That muscle is going to get flexed more and more and more until eventually you don't have to say stop because it's not happening. Yeah. You're not making it. And it's just, but I'm 28. Sam's old. She's 30 years old. I've got some dust over there. What you got to do is we have 28 years, maybe 26 years of bad habits. Yeah. So we have to unwire.
Well, as kids, you don't do a lot of that stuff. I'd say like 20 years.
20 okay. All right.
Right, because a lot of kids, most kids should be young and innocent. And
Dude, I remember back when I was fucking a kid, I always did that shit. Like back in like
shit?
elementary school. Always.
Okay, so I'd give you 5.
All right, so let's go 23 years.
Yeah. Sorry,
so
that was way off. We didn't need to go.
I have to rewire 23 years of like negative thought patterns with positive thought patterns. So, you know, it may take 5 years. Mm-hmm. It may take 10 years. It may never actually get, like, it may only get better and never stop.
Yeah.
That's probably the real thing. It'll get better, but it'll never stop. Even Andy says that shit on his podcast.
And that's like something, even having the thought but telling yourself to stop, then it doesn't allow it to go any further. There's some other like gossiping or negativity, and we'll just be like, okay, I'm just gonna say this once so I can get it out, and then we're done with it.
Yeah.
And so those are both, I think, 2 very healthy ways to at least like put an end to it.
Well, when we quit gossiping. We only we'll state a fact about something we noticed.
Right, and a lot of our gossip has been assumptions, to be honest. Like, we'd be like, oh man, I wouldn't be surprised if this happens.
Yeah.
Well, that's making an assumption.
Yep. And so we're like, yeah, I can't do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are 2 things that I would say really help with the assumptions, is just either
Stop.
Yeah, just stop, or like, I'm gonna say this once and then we're done with it. Which is a stop, I guess.
Yeah. So don't make assumptions.
Yeah.
Which is fucking beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
So the last one of the 4 agreements is always do your best.
Which I love. Because I mean, it pretty much like implies that you won't always be perfect.
So you're always going to change from moment to moment. You know, whether you're sick, whether you're healthy, tired, awake.
Different temptations around you.
Yep, absolutely. Always do your best. And as long as you can do your best, you'll avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. So always doing your best. And I can tell you, most of us don't always do our best. So, dude, that's like in the gym. I notice that a lot. Like doing my best in the gym. Like a lot of days, especially like 38 days into 75 hard.
37
days. There's a lot of days my best is not very optimal because I'm sore as shit. Like today, went into train legs, couldn't train legs because my right leg's all fucked up. So I had to pivot and train something else, and I just had to do my best to train that.
Yeah.
So it's just, yeah, it all changes.
It does every day.
So do your best. I don't know if that needs much explanation.
No. What's the 5th one?
The 5th one is be skeptical, but learn to listen. So this is self-talk, and this is other people talking. Don't believe yourself or anybody else. Use the power of doubt to question everything you hear. Is it really the truth? Listen to the intent behind the words, and you will understand the real message. So, plain and simple, be skeptical, doubt the things you're hearing, especially if it's coming from yourself. Dude, a lot of the shit we tell ourselves is so not true, and we have to call ourselves out and say, no, you're wrong, I'm not that way, whatever it is. But learn to listen, and learning to listen to find the intent behind what you're saying, the true meaning, but also learn to listen to see, hey, maybe I am not being impeccable with my word.
Yeah.
So I need to learn to not be impeccable with my word. Or it could be...
You need to learn to not be impeccable with your word?
You need to learn to be impeccable with your word.
There
Sorry.
you go.
Or you need to learn, but learning to listen, you may learn that you gossip. You may learn, you may tell yourself, listening to yourself by saying, hey, I should not make assumptions.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
So, be skeptical, but learn to listen.
It's so funny because, media and shit right now. All the shit that's going, we should be skeptical of everything that they release in the media, but some people are just like, no, what they say is true.
Yeah, I mean, people are not listening to the message to find the true intent behind it.
Right.
They're just like, yep, it's true, or nope, it's, whatever. They should really listen to the real intent and then be skeptical and doubt everything you hear and question, like, why would somebody say this to me? Mm-hmm. Why could this be a thing? And if people did that and people looked into most of the things in the world today, they would go, wow, they're lying to me for power or money or to scare me. Because if you're scared, you're a lot easier controlled because the devil is controlling you, and it's a lot easier to control you through negativity than positivity.
Yeah.
Uneducated and scared.
Uneducated and scared.
Love it.
And then it goes back to Andy saying, why can't I remember what he says?
Personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion.
Thank you. Because then you're not scared, and you're educated.
Right.
So yeah, I highly recommend this. I did just find on, I think, Pinterest or something, like a book of 100 books you should read before you're 30 or whatever. Shaun and I have only read 5 of them. But the 4 agreements is on. 30. I know.
Who the fuck's reading 100 books before 30?
You telling me you haven't read 100 books?
No.
Oh, I definitely have.
No, I've not read 100 books.
Oh, well,
I'm just getting into this thing of self-development. Not really. I've been reading for a while.
You've listened to probably 100 books.
I bet you I'm close to 100 books.
Yeah.
Dude, wait. Do children books count?
Technically.
I'm in 4 digits, baby.
4 digits?
Fuck yeah.
You read that many children's books?
No, my mom read it to me and I listened. Thanks, Ma. Thanks, Dad.
There you go.
Anyways, gang, the 4 agreements, check it out. It's super great. The 5th agreement's phenomenal. And Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Mm-hmm. That's what we got for you today.
That is what we got? I don't think we have anything else.
All right, goodbye, everybody.
See ya.